Welcome back to Dr. JP classes. I hope you all are fine. Friends, previously we had discussed about research-based article, that is a study of negative influence of ICT on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district. You can watch those videos. I shall provide the links in the description box. If you are new to this channel, please like, share and subscribe my channel to get notification when the new videos are uploaded. Today we all are going to discuss about remaining part of the research based article, part 3, last part of research based article. In this video we will learn presentation and discussion of findings, conclusion and some recommendations. Few references and appendices section also include in this part. This part is last but very important part of research based article. So friends, watch this video till the end. Let's start. Then presentation and discussion of findings. Here the researcher tell the reader what was found in the study. Tables, figures are also used to present findings. The researcher used some tables and figures to present the findings. The findings which are presented in the tables according to the research questions above. The primary objective of any research study is to answer the research questions. Statistics are used to answer research questions. For the present study, the researcher used mean and standard deviation to answer the research questions. The research question number 1 is, what are the effects of computer addiction on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block? The table 5.1 shows the mean and standard deviation scores of the 4 statements that are based on the effects of computer addiction on the secondary school students' learning outcome. Here, the statement number 1 is, due to computer addiction, children spend more time using computers that should have been used for reading. Previously, we had discussed the statements are based on the 5-point Likert's rating scale: strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. The statement number 1, the mean score is 4.00 and standard deviation score is 0.92. Previously, the researcher discussed the study utilized disproportionate stratified sampling techniques to select 30 respondents, 8 head of the institution and 22 teachers. Out of 30 respondents, 12 are strongly agree, 9 respondents are agree, 6 respondents are neutral, and 3 respondents are disagree, and no one can strongly disagree in the above statement, that is statement number 1. And the scores are clearly analyzed in this table. Similarly, the second statement, computer addiction, especially with games, prevent children from doing their homework. The third statement is, the merry prospect of using computers after school can distract some children during class lesson. Then fourth statement is, computer addiction positions children to live in a visual world, gradually losing touch with reality, which can be detrimental to their education. Researchers calculate mean and standard deviation scores of above 4 statements in the table 5.1 and also calculate total grant score. The mean total grant score is 4.15 and standard deviation score is 0.90. The table 5.1 shows the statistical presentation of the response from the respondents concerning the effects of computer addiction on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block. The table has a grand mean of 4.15, which shows that the responses were accepted since it is above the benchmark of 2.5. On the other hand, the grant standard deviation score has 0.90. It tells the values 0.90 are spread across the data points from the mean. The first purpose of the study was to determine the effect of computer addiction on child education. The findings of the study showed that computer addiction is one of the most prominent negative effects of information and communication technology among students' learning outcome. Excessive use of ICT and more attachment to this device which hamper students' overall development. Then the research question 2. How does information overload affect on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block? The table 5.2 shows mean and standard deviation scores on how information overload affect on students' learning outcome. The table 5.2, the researcher so, other four statement regarding how information overload affect on students' learning outcome. Here the researcher calculate mean and standard deviation of other four statements and also calculate total grand score of mean and standard deviation. The statement 5 is information overload makes learning a cumbersome or difficult affair for children. Then other statement is it discourages children from learning with the belief that knowledge acquisition is difficult. Other statement is it can be a distraction to focused learning, which is very important. Then other statement is information overload can lead to the discovery of varying viewpoints about the same subject, which can be confusing to peoples. The researcher using Likert rating scale, the scores are analyzed. Here in the statement number 5, strongly agree are 12 respondent, agree 8 respondent, neutral 6 respondent, 2 respondents are disagree and 2 respondents are strongly disagree. Each respondent's points regarding the level of agreement in a statement. Assign 5.2 strongly agree on the basis of Likert scale. Here 12 multiplied by 5 is 60. Likewise, other scores are calculated using Likert's rating scale. At last, total grand score of mean and standard deviation are calculated. An examination of the data presented in Table 5.2 indicates that the statistical presentation of the response from the respondents concerning the effect of information overload on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block, the table has a grand mean of 3.54, which shows that the responses were accepted since it is above the benchmark of 2.5. On the other hand, the grand standard deviation score has 1.36. It tells about the value that 1.36 has deviated from the mean value. The findings of the study showed that information overload can lead to several negative consequences like making learning cumbersome, that means difficult to children, then creating a distraction to focused learning among others. The United Nations Education, Social and Cultural Organization UNESCO 2017 emphasized that while the use of information and communication technology should be encouraged in schools, the teachers should implement measures to avoid overloading the children with information which can have negative effect on their mental development. In teaching learning field, it is essential to use information and communication technology. But according to the United Nations Education, Social and Cultural Organization, information and communication technology should be encouraged in school. But the teachers should know how to implement information and communication technology to making the teaching and learning fun and avoid overloading, which can have negative effects on their mental development. Then, in the table 5.3, the researcher present the research question number 3, that is, what is the effect of excessive emphasis on visuals on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block. Here, the researcher calculate mean and standard deviation scores on the effect of excessive emphasis on visuals on students' learning outcome. The statement 9, that is, excessive emphasis on ICT based visuals in education can disconnect children from learning the basic theoretical essentials of their core subjects. Here, in this statement, the mean score is 3.37 and standard deviation score is 1.33. The other statement, that is statement number 10, it can oversimplify children education, creating the impression that hard work is unnecessary. The mean score is 2.63 and standard deviation score is 1.31. The statement number 11, that is, it can easily divert the attention of teachers and pupils, leading to the learning unnecessary stuff. The mean score of the statement is 2.90 and standard deviation score is 1.20. The other statement, that is, it can be a distraction to actual learning for children. Here, the mean score of the respondent are 3.46 and standard deviation score is 1.34, and the total grand score of above statements are mean score is 3.09 and standard deviation score is 1.29. It can be seen from table 5.3 that the statistical presentation of the response from the respondents concerning the effect of excessive emphasis on visuals on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block. The table has a grand mean of 3.09, which shows that the responses were accepted since it is above the benchmark of 2.5. On the other hand, the grand standard deviation score has 1.29. It tells about the values that 1.29 has diverted from the mean value. The third purpose of the study focused on the effect of excessive emphasis on visuals on child education. The findings of the study showed that excessive use of visuals can make the theoretical aspects of learning to become boring and challenging for pupils, oversimplify academic work, creating the impression that hard work is unnecessary. It can also be a distraction to actual learning. The table 5.4 present the research question number 4, that is, what measures can be employed in checkmating the negative influence of ICT on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block. The table 5.4 present the mean and standard deviation scores on measure to be employed in checkmating the negative influence of ICT on students' education. Here, the researcher analyzed other last four statements. The statement number 13, teachers and parents should limit their pupils or children usage of information and communication technology devices. Here, the mean score is 4.40 and standard deviation score is 0.85. In the statement number 14, the teachers and parents should make only academic based service available to children's use of computers. Here the mean score is 4.43 and standard deviation score is 0.60. Then the statement number 15, the government should motivate technology companies to customize specific ICT service offering to meet the educational needs of children. Here the mean score is 4.50 and standard deviation score is 0.68. Then last statement, the statement number 16, that is, parents should supervise their children use of computers and other digital devices to mitigate their access to harmful online contents. Here, the mean score is 4.70 and standard deviation score is 0.36. Here, in this table, the total grand mean score is 4.60 and standard deviation score is 0.62. The table above shows the statistical presentation of the response from the respondents on the measure of checkmating the negative influence of information and communication technology on secondary school students' learning outcome in Ganjam district of Odisha state, Chhatrapur block. The table has a grand mean of 4.60, which shows that the responses were accepted since it is above the benchmark of 2.5. On the other hand, the grand standard deviation score has 0.62. It tells about the value that 0.62 has deviated from the mean value. The fourth purpose focused on the measures that can be employed in checkmating the negative influence of information and communication technology on child education. The finding of the study shows that the sum of the measures include teachers and parents working together to limit the children's use of information and communication technology devices, focus on making only academic based service available to children's use, and the customization of information and communication technology device designed for children use. The findings of the study showed that the teachers and parents working together to limit the children use of information and communication technology devices. Then conclusion. The results of the findings showed that ICT can take valuable learning time. It can be overused. Also, it can turn educational experiences into games for students and thus enhances low academic performance. It also exposes students to porn site and can distract them during class hours. ICT uses, if not properly supervised, can be detrimental to students' learning outcome. Finally, the problems associated with the negative influence of ICT on secondary students seem to be concurable. From the results, it is clear that with combined efforts of parents, teachers, and governments, a lot will be achieved in curbing or keep it in check this problem since children are the future of tomorrow. The study therefore recommended that parents and teachers should supervise their wards or children uses of information and communication technology devices in order to effectively checkmate its negative effects. At the end of the research based article, the researcher provides some recommendations that is based in the light of the present study. To this end, in the light of the present study, the following recommendations are hereby made. ICT gadgets are useful when mature minds operate them. In view of this, secondary schools, authority, principal, and teachers should ensure that coming to school with these gadgets are prohibited. Then, school Wi Fi in secondary schools should not be turned on. And if they are turned on, teachers should be given passwords that would restrict children access to such school internet services. Then, counselors should also organize activities and talks to educate students on the dangers of ICT gadgets. Likewise, parents should keep an eye on their children at home. They should see to it that children at all time do not engage in watching movies, television, and uneducated programs. Also, teachers should be involved in the monitoring of the use of ICT among the children in schools. This should involve the restriction of ICT use in classrooms, examination hall, among others, with the great penalty attached to the breaking of such law and orders. It is expedient to train teachers on how they can control and manage the children in classrooms in this ICT generation to ensure effective performance. Then, various training and workshops should be conducted for teachers to train them on how they can use ICT to make class interesting and give the children classworks and assignments which would make them busy. This would at least curtail the negative effects of ICT among children and enhancing the benefits that ICT could bring to development, that are personal, educational, and national development. ICT help the students learn more independently at the home and make the teaching learning process interesting and fun. In conclusion, we can say that ICT can give both advantages and disadvantages to education. We have to be careful when using it. Then reference section. In this section, the researcher share some information regarding a source of work. Here, full publication details the researcher included in the reference list. This section also helps the other readers to avoid plagiarism and allow the readers to refer to the original source and learn more information regarding the particular research work. Here, the researcher presents the reference work in alphabetical order. The last section of any research based article is Appendices. In this section, the researcher provides important information. It includes tools prepared by the researcher and used in the study. In this section, the researcher includes some data analysis sheets, questionnaire, some mathematical formula that are used in the research work. This appendices section provides further detailed information about the particular research. In this section, the researcher provides some raw data regarding the particular research problem. On the basis of raw data, the researcher calculated mean score and standard deviation score. In this table, row indicates the all information from respondents while column represents the responses of individual questions of all the respondents. In this section, sample questions, interview questions, photographs, figures, maps, tables are also included. At the end of the research report, the researcher gives additional information on the topic. That's all, friends. Friends, what is your opinion about the research based article? Use comment box and write your valuable comments. Thank you for watching. Friends, if my video provides you little bit information, then do like, share and subscribe my channel. Stay tuned. Have a nice day.